Josh started his career in law enforcement in 1998 when selected for the 48th Police Academy here in Pasadena. Because of his leadership abilities, Josh rose quickly through the ranks. Promoted to sergeant in 2004, lieutenant in October 2012, assistant chief of police July 2013, and appointed to chief of police December 2018. Josh continued his education while working and received a master's degree from Sam Houston State University, and he's currently working on a second master's degree from Texas A&M University. I went through his file, and he's been the recipient of numerous awards, letters of commendation, letters of appreciation. You know, catching crooks in law enforcement is pretty much a given, and there were a bunch. But I read through the file a couple of things that stood out. And if you knew Josh early on in his career, you'll know what his passion was. Like all of his assignments, Josh excelled in the DWI task force. He had a passion to make a difference in alcohol-related deaths. He participated in the school district's Shattered Dreams program, where he met with young adults and provided real life and death events to educate and make a difference and stop kids from dying due to alcohol-related fatalities. Most notably, he is a member of the DWI Task Force, recognized as the top DWI Task Force in the United States. There were over 500 nominations for this award, and during that time, they had 1,004 DWI-related cases with just over a 95% conviction rate. But to note, his wife Alexis told me she knew of Josh Bruegger from DWI investigations and his reports while she was working for the district attorney's office in intake. They met sometime later when he was teaching a DRE DWI instructor course. So this is a good time to bring up the district attorney, our Harris County District Attorney, Kim Ogg, for a few remarks.
Well, Josh, I'm going to be short because the best speeches start with "in closing." What I want to say is you have run a major metropolitan police department in the most professional way that it can be done. You have led your people from the front. You are one of them. And when it comes to leadership, Josh has also been a leader within the Harris County Law Enforcement Chiefs Association. I probably have that name wrong, but you know what I mean. He has been a leader among leaders. And when they have a word with me, they have elected Josh, God bless him, to be the liaison with the DA and the DA's office. And that has worked well. And that is exactly what our office has needed for many, many years. We want you in Pasadena to know that we respect every man and woman who works in this department. Put your life on the line. And I want you to know that our prosecutors work their tails off for you every day. They have great respect for this department. And, you know, whether that's always been true about the DA's office and the way that smaller departments were treated, I can't tell you. But I can tell you that during my administration, our DAs think the world of the cases that come out of the Pasadena Police Department because they're well investigated, the evidence is collected properly. Technology-wise, you're interactive with us, which speeds things up. He was one of the first chiefs to go to a system that interfaced with ours so we could get body cams and other evidence immediately and be able to disclose to the defense. So as a leader in law enforcement during my career, I just want to thank you for the great service you've given the people of Pasadena and the rest of Harris County. And we do have an award that will have to be mailed because it ain't ready. And he's out of here. So Josh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Another presentation, and we have actually Mr. Mike McDaniel, the director of HIDA, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas.
Josh, the Pasadena Police Department has been on the HIDA Executive Board since the very beginning in 1991. And I cannot thank you enough for your commitment to the HIDA program and to the HIDA Executive Board. You made it a priority. I don't even know if you ever missed a meeting, maybe once. He reminded me one. But I really appreciate your commitment and your embracing of technology here and where you've taken this community, and you've made it really hard for whoever's going to follow your footsteps. But I'm real proud of where you're going. I'm excited that South Carolina sounds like an awesome place to be, so I'm excited for y'all. But I'd like to give you a presentation from the HIDA Executive Board. And we happen to have our vice chair sitting here. So, in fact, Sheriff Fagan, could I trouble you to come up? It would be perfect for you to be here. So, Sheriff Fagan of Fort Bend County is actually is our vice chair. And from the HIDA Executive Board, I'd like to present you with this, something to put on your wall in South Carolina. Here, just for your wife.
Thank you.
Next, we have Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Noel Rangel from the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Noel Rangel. I'm in the ASAC with ATF here in Houston. And first off, I want to congratulate Josh. But more importantly, I want to thank you. You know, over the years, the Pasadena Police Department has had an outstanding working relationship and partnership with ATF, and that's because of Josh. You know, Josh has always prioritized trying to keep the people of not only Pasadena safe, but everybody within the Houston area. Whether it was partnering with other agencies or making sure that he acquired the necessary resources to combat armed violent crime, Josh always made sure that he did that. So on behalf of ATF, I would just like to present this small token of appreciation.
Per Josh's request, our next speaker, Mr. Dan Pennington, Chief of Staff.
As most of you know, Josh Bruegger has been our police chief since January of 2019. But what you may not be aware of is what all he's accomplished since that time. So I wanted to take a few minutes just to highlight a few things. To begin with, Josh led the effort for our agency to become accredited as a recognized department by the Texas Police Chiefs Association. This means our organization now complies with all Texas Police Chiefs Association's recommended policies and procedures. This achievement was no small task, as it took nearly 2 years of effort to complete, but it is very significant. For example, there are over 2,400 law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas alone. Less than 5% of those have become recognized, so it's a big deal. Being recognized is a process that's challenging and time-consuming, however, is a sign of excellence, and it's important because our officers are following the state's best policing practices, and it's a sign of a professional police department. Next, Josh implemented several technological advancements for the department. He updated the agency's entire stock of body cameras to a state-of-the-art device that's improved services, safeguarded our officers, and enhanced the public's trust in our agency. The department is also in the midst of a $2 million CAD and RMS upgrade that will boost public safety and information sharing among the agencies that will be participating. Most recently, he completed a remodel of the entire dispatch center so as to improve the working conditions for the PSO staff in there. But the most significant piece of technology by far that Chief Bruegger has brought in has been the Flock license plate reader camera system. These cameras are deployed around the city, comparing its captured license plate images to databases of vehicles that are sought by law enforcement. And the system has already paid huge public safety dividends for our community. Josh reorganized and redirected various parts of the agency to make it more effective, a more effective policing agency. He took on the assignment of code enforcement, city marshals, and fire marshals to make sure all enforcement personnel were working together. He expanded the capabilities of the social media unit as well as the crime analysis group. The chief created a quality of life team that's focused on homelessness here in the community. He formed a community liaison unit so that the neighborhood organizations would have a consistent point of contact for someone to help them resolve problems in their neighborhoods. The chief organized the PSO hiring process to resolve severe staffing shortages. He worked to compress police academy cycles to significantly increase the hiring and training of cadets and officers. Part of this effort included working with the mayor and council to improve pay and benefits for the officers and PSOs, and these positions are now some among the highest paid or compensated here in the area. The chief has managed a host of police building projects. He finished up this $7 million police academy. He's also prepared plans for a $15 million, 30,000 square foot police annex that will start being built in December where the old city hall was located at. But most exciting, Josh recently wrapped up the design portion of the state-of-the-art Simtac building that will be located out here at the range at a cost of about $2 million. Once built, a variety of floor plans can be moved and can be arranged and rearranged because this building, it'll be a two-story, 10,000 square foot structure with 100% interior movable walls. So the officers will be able to practice their building clearing techniques on various structures that they lay out in just a matter of minutes. The Simtac building will dramatically improve officer safety and better prepare our officers to perform their high-risk tasks. The accomplishments I just mentioned say a lot about Josh Bruegger's work here, but there's one more fact that I think speaks best and demonstrates his leadership style. In nearly 5 years of service as chief, he has not had to indefinitely suspend or fire one officer, nor has there been a single disciplinary appeal hearing held. Those in law enforcement, particularly at a civil service agency, can appreciate how rare this fact is, especially given that several officers were indeed suspended and permanently separated from the agency during his tenure. However, when these kinds of situations arose, Josh had the unique ability to sit down with the officers to reach a consensus on the eventual discipline imposed. In short, this chief was able to do the right thing and oftentimes the hard thing while still showing some compassion and mercy. In summary, Josh has tirelessly worked to make this city one of the safest in the area and to foster the public's trust in this office, in this department. And for that, and on behalf of the mayor, I want to say, Josh, job well done. We wish you the best of luck in your next chapter of your life and your professional career. Thank you, and I personally will miss you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask that Mayor Wagner come up for comments and final presentations of certificate appreciation, retiree badge and ID, and we usually say unveiling of a shadow box, but we have several, and then we'll have Chief Josh Bruegger's response.
In closing, you know, when I appointed Josh chief of police, it was at a time where we really needed a leader to fix the morale of the department. And I knew once I talked to Josh about what I expected out of a police chief, he understood. And I said one word: go put bad guys in jail. I said, but let's take care of our people first. Well, I didn't have to say that to Josh because he knew already that he needed to take care of his department. Josh went in as chief, and I was receiving daily complaints throughout our departments from our unions and everything else, different things. When Josh took over as chief, from that day forward, I have not received one valid complaint from our department. You know, that's true. Even when you have a pro-police mayor that will do anything for police officers. I never understood how me and the union got any conflicts at all. It didn't make a lick of sense to me. But I knew this. When they were saying things, listen, I'm not talking about our officers. I'm talking about just a few of the union members. I am not talking about our police officers. When they come up with something ridiculous, I knew right then and there. I didn't have to worry about it, because they're going to leave my office, go straight to the chief's office, and he's going to take care of it, because he always did that. Not once did I ever have to call the chief of police and question anything about what he was doing over at the police department. Not once, because I knew I had other things to worry about, and I never worried about the police department when Josh took over. Josh, you don't know how much you meant to me personally on the times that we did have discussions about how I wanted to get things done and how you would say, wait a minute, we need to do it this way. You were right every single time. I don't like going through government red tape. I just like to get things done. But I know you must go through government red tape sometimes. Josh, you slowed me down, and you took this department exactly where the department needs to be. I've never seen a police chief in my 40 years of law enforcement ever so compassionate, but follow the rules than you. You are the example of how a true leader can be. You know, I always wondered why every time you'd have a speech, you would say quotes of famous people. Well, I understand now, and I thought about this on the way here. Why did he do that constantly? I'll tell you why he did it. Besides reading constantly, learning new stuff, you took the quotes of some of the greatest world leaders, and especially leaders here in America. You read them, but you just didn't read them. You added that to how you became a leader. I truly believe that. All the quotes that you've ever said, and people need to realize, it was always a different quote from a very famous person. Every time you'd speak, I said, wow, Josh could have said that. Wow, Josh could have said that. You just didn't read it. You meant it. That's why we will miss you in the city of Pasadena. I will personally miss you in the city of Pasadena. When I heard from you that you were leaving, it was like, well, I'm trying to figure out, I don't have the right word to say, it hurt me a lot. Not because I don't think you're making the right decision. It's just that, how could I lose somebody so good? But I know this. Chief Wright will step in because he really paid attention to how you ran this department. I feel good about our department. I just want you to know personally, as friends, I always called you Chief, I'm going to call you Josh. Josh, thank you for serving 100% of every fiber in that you have to be the best police best police chief I've ever seen. With that, you must come up here. This certificate says a recognition of 25 valuable years. Well, it's more than valuable years. Josh, thank you. And before I hand this to you, get over here. We're going to take a quick picture, and then we're going to do some other things. I'm not going to roast you like the chief did. It's my honor to present you with your retirement badge. You know, he says, Chief says it's protocol for the mayor to do this. Well, believe me, I'm like a kid. This is just unbelievable to me to present you this. And you always mention one person that will probably give you a ticket no matter what. I can't think of that officer's name, it don't matter. But hopefully this will work on him also. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to walk over here. On the count of three, we'll count down. 3, 2, 1. big your office is gonna be in South Carolina, but it better be pretty darn big. And then, oh, this one is the one about. That's pretty impressive right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I almost said in my honor, it's not my honor, but I'm very proud of you because again, personally, don't go, but this is not personal. And I guarantee you thought this through, your families thought this through, and it's the right thing. But again, thank you for being our chief. Thank you.
There's more people here for my retirement than my promotion, so I'm not sure what that says, but I really am leaving. If y'all are worried about it, I'm leaving. First, I want to thank Chief Wingerson. I think he must have snuck out the back. It was pretty good. And I want to thank you all for coming out, taking time out of your day to come out here. It means a lot to me. I wouldn't be standing here today without the support of my wife. I say this, all the time. I think in law enforcement, this is not you can't do it by yourself. You have to have your family there to support you. My kids, always there. I was looking at some of the pictures up here, and the one where I'm on the horse with the phone, I was actually talking to Rex. And the Zoom where I had a police shirt on, and actually that was a Zoom with the DA one evening. We were camping, and I forget what it was about, but I was like, okay, I'll be there. And so in my camper, and Kim didn't even know it. My parents, I wouldn't be here today without my parents. They gave me my work ethic and who I am. I get a lot of credit for things that happen here, but I say all the time, I'm just a chief. I don't do all the work. Everybody else does the actual hard work. And so, in my office, Kelly, my administrative assistant, Donna Greer, I always say she's a money lady. I got her trained pretty well because when people come in, she has it down pretty good. We don't have any money. And then I'll go in, hey, Donna, we have money. She's like, for you, we do. Jason Shirley, Officer Jason Shirley, anybody knows Jason. Jason, that guy, he 24/7 is going. He's the behind the scenes guy, doesn't ever want any of the credit. Assistant Chief Tom Warnke, Assistant Chief Wright, Devin Franklin, the admin sergeant. Again, I give Devin whatever, and I just know it's going to get done without having to come back around and, hey, Devin, did you get this done? And all the other admin sergeants. Two mentors I want to mention. Chief Thaler, I think, is here somewhere out there, right there. He was one of my mentors. I'll never forget when I got a call Friday afternoon that I was in detectives, and one of the best assignments I ever had. And it was like, hey, Monday you're going to internal affairs. I was pissed. And it turns out that was probably at least prepare me for my position here and give me an administrative perspective and be able to work with the chief. Probably prepared me to be in this position more than any other stop along the way. But again, getting to work with Chief Thaler, he was like the dad. This was before phones when you could just look it up. But remember, you were young, you'd go ask your parents about something or how to spell something, and what they always say? Go look it up. Chief Thaler was kind of like that. And I didn't like it at the time sometimes, but I learned a lot from it because I had to go do it myself and figure it out. Dan, I want to thank you as well. Early on, I say early on, at some point in my career as chief, I knew that my next stop along the way professionally was going to be going into city management. And so when I talked to Dan about that, Dan gave me the insight to the other side of the city. I had the public safety side down. Well, most days I had it down. But Dan would give me the other pieces of the city that I didn't necessarily have, and that has prepared me for my next role. One of the things that I learned early on in this career, and especially as chief, is you cannot get things done by yourself. The police department cannot solve things, and so it requires a lot of other city departments outside the PD. Sometimes I tell the cops, there are other city departments other than the police department. We are the biggest city department, but and the biggest budget, but there are other city departments, and it takes budget and finance, purchasing, traveling, all of those things. The folks up there do a great job. Human resources, fleet often doesn't get the recognition, but we're nothing if the cars don't run. And so all of the other city departments, I know a lot of you are here. I want to thank you for always supporting the police department. Some of the other law enforcement agencies, Deer Park, LaPorte, Precinct 8, Shore Acres. I know there's several chiefs here, but It truly, on the east side of the county, I always say, is really a true working relationship, because I know that I can pick up the phone anytime and call any of the other area chiefs, and they're going to be there, to help us out, whatever it is that we may need, and vice versa. The DA's office, our folks sometimes get frustrated, and the one thing I always tell them is, like, there's only one in town, so we've got to find a way to work together at times when we get frustrated. And so, we all have different perspectives, but, understanding the partnership that we each have. I made night shift roll call this last week, and I spent the first 9 years of my career on nights. And Damon Dre's here somewhere, because I saw him. He and I went through the academy together. We spent a lot of time on nights together. And we were telling stories the other night till it was about 11 o'clock, I guess, when I finally left. And we were talking about being young cops and how we probably would have worked for free back then if they would have let us. Because we had that much fun, and we were reminiscing about a story that we tell all the time. It was shift change, and it was a late call right at 5:50. It was a disturbance, and we both looked at each other, and we just had that look like, you want to go? And so we went, and it ended up being a big mess. But it was a lot of fun. DWI Task Force, Dan talked about that a little bit. One of the highlights of my career, I really felt like, we were able to make a difference during that time. Wouldn't have met my wife without being all of that. And if you don't know how we met, so I was teaching officers how to recognize impaired drivers. And as part of that, we bring people in and give them alcohol so that the officers we're training can do the field test on them. She was one of those people. And actually, she was at the DA's office at the time, and she was assigned to grand jury. And so she brought a bunch of grand jurors out. And back in the day, they were all about 70 or 80 years old. And I was like, Alexis, like, we can't get these people intoxicated. But we did. But we did. When I promoted to sergeant, I spent a little bit of time on patrol, and then I went to detectives. And I spent some time in persons crimes. And hands down, that was probably my most favorite assignment of my career. Catching bad guys, whodunit homicides. But I would say in that unit, probably, lifelong friends that I met in there that I'm still good friends with today and that are here today. Promoted assistant chief and then chief. The challenge over the last 5 years, I tell people I think law enforcement has been more difficult in the last 5 years than it has, at least in my 25-year career. I know there's people that have been doing it a lot longer than I that are in this room, but at least in my last 5 years. And I think, being a chief, being an officer really has been a challenge. And, we saw COVID come along. Officers were put in no-win situations lots of times. You get called to the grocery store because, somebody's complaining that somebody doesn't have a mask on. You go do something about it, you pissed off half the people. You don't do something, you pissed off the other half. And so they really were in a no-win situation, and it really took a toll, I think, on the first-line officers. And then George Floyd really changed things. And the thing that I have said since then is we can either evolve or people are going to force us to evolve, and I would rather evolve on my own. And so, one of the things I took a lot of heat internally, probably about a year ago, we changed our pursuit policy. And people are like, oh, the chief doesn't want us catching bad guys, this, that, and the other. And that's not it at all, but I want people to go home at the end of the day. I don't want to be in lawsuits, and I don't want people indicted. And so that's really the message that I've tried to put out. And I was telling somebody just the other day, when HPD changed their policy a couple weeks ago, at least as a chief, that was kind of a proud moment, because I'm like, yeah, we did that a year ago. So, you got to be, looking on what's on the horizon and what's coming. We don't always have to agree with it, but we do have to evolve. And like I said, my goal as chief was always that, the men and women go home, they don't get indicted, they don't get sued, and you don't become YouTube famous, like Kevin was trying to make me. But, and as chief, I've got to meet some really great people in the community, the citizens. There's a Tuesday Bible Church luncheon that I would go to, and when I wasn't there, they would tell my boss that I wasn't there. And he would call me and tell me, hey, the ladies at the church are looking for you. So I knew that I had to get there. And then when I'd get there, the mayor wouldn't be there, and they're like, where's your boss? And so then I'd have to tell the mayor they're looking for you now. So, but, the faith-based community in this community is very strong. The Chamber of Commerce, the business community, there were, I say, some good things that came out of George Floyd, and some of those are the relationships that were built in this community with the faith-based community and the business community that came out of it. The hardest part of this is going to be leaving my friends behind, and almost made it. do hope that I left the department better in some ways than when I got it. And though it's like a family, sometimes we are dysfunctional, okay, a lot of times. We have some of the best officers anywhere, and it has been a privilege to serve alongside them. And, you know, the last thing I want to say is, you know, the officers here are the best anywhere, and they are the ones that get the work done. And so the department is left in good hands, and I pray for everybody's safety, and thank you all very much.